Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. So we're in the third chapter of Hari Bhakti Vilas, text number 229 to 232. And we just finished talking about toothbrushes, different types. What are we going to? We're going to now talk about toothbrushes, about cleaning the teeth, and the different types of twigs that can be used. So let's have a look at that. So in the Vyasa Gita, which is a section of the Kuma Purana, it is stated that the best type of wood for brushing one's teeth is a twig as thick as one's middle finger, as thick as the middle finger, right? It should be about 6 inches long. Now, probably if we look in this, instead of inches, it'll say angulas. Angula is the measurement of a finger. It means the width of a finger. And 6, if we do, this is 4, and this is 2 more, 6, like that. So probably 6 angulas. We can have a look, but it's not inches. It should be about 6 inches long and with the bark intact. So the bark should be on the tree. The bark gets bitten off from the top portion, and then the middle part of the twig gets crushed between the molars of the teeth and made into a brush. So one should hold the twig at the base. The base would be the part which is closer to the trunk of the tree, so the thicker part, probably. And brush the teeth with the front portion, or the top portion. Twigs of people and malati trees are auspicious, and the twigs of bilva and apamarga trees are especially auspicious. The bilva tree is a bale tree, and it is especially, the leaves are used in Shiva worship, and especially the twigs, the fruits are auspicious to Lakshmi, Sri Devi. And it's considered an auspicious tree. It's mentioned in the Sri Shuktam. Adityavarne tapasodi jato vanaspatis tapavrikshota bilvaha. So bilvaha is mentioned, the bilva tree. People tree is also an auspicious tree, which is often mentioned. So twigs from the Karavi and the Akunda and similar trees should not be used for brushing one's teeth. So we could look up all these different trees and we could give you a Latin name and you could know. Now, I happen to know that Prabhupada used to use also eucalyptus trees, eucalyptus twigs when he was in Australia. So that can be done. It's a pretty good twig to use. Otherwise, as I said, normally people, of course, today they're using toothpaste and toothbrush, but we also used to use tooth powder. Prabhupada, there's a certain type of toothpaste that Prabhupada gave a recipe for, because of course he was a chemist, so he had a recipe for making toothpaste. So
these are all the ones that you cannot use specifically, right?
No, it's people and malati are auspicious. Bilva and apamarga are more auspicious, and Karavi and Akunda and similar are not auspicious. They're not good. Should not be used for brushing the teeth.
Oh, okay. I was confused because I thought that so it means that using people is good.
Yeah, people's good. People's good. Malti's good. Bilva's good. Apamarga's good. And okay. So it gives some which are good, then it gives some which are better, and then it gives some which are not so good or not good.
Got it.
So a person who knows the prescribed rules and regulations should choose an appropriate twig and brush his teeth daily, except on prohibited days. And I think, did we go through that before? That there's a time when a fast day, when you're doing a fast, then you don't use a toothbrush, but you can use a leaf. And you always have to clean your tongue as well. So one should not use a twig which has been split in half. So actually, at the end of brushing your teeth, you split the twig in half, and makes a curved part, and you use it for scraping the tongue. One should not hold the twig with the tip of his fingers. So I guess you have to grasp it really tightly, not just with the tip of your fingers. After brushing one's teeth, one should throw the twig in a proper place. So there's a place to discard the twig, and you should not throw it in other places. Obviously, it's been in your mouth, so it's considered dirty. so you have to throw it away. So now there's a conversation in text 233, a conversation between Kartikeya and Agastya, who's a great rishi, especially in South India. Agastya Muni is a great rishi. And recorded in the Kashi Kanda. I forget, it was, what's that, Padma Purana? Anyway, Kashi Kanda is about Kashi or Benares. So now it's going to explain a little bit more about twigs for brushing the teeth. A suitable twig for brushing one's teeth is one which is as thick as one's thumb and has its bark intact. So thumb is a little bit thick, bigger than the middle finger, but approximately that big. It should be smooth, straight, and about 6 inches long. Again, what does it say here? It says dvadasangula, which is actually 12 angulas. So an angula, I believe, is about 2 centimeters. So that would be, dvadasangulas would be 48 centimeters. That's quite big. And so he's saying here's 6 inches. And it should not be dry. It should not be dry. So a dry twig is not going to be good. It has to be sort of moist. It has to be a fresh twig of a tree that's still sort of living. One should use the same kind of twig for cleaning his tongue by bending it like a bow. So after you finish brushing the teeth, then you bend it, and one side the bark breaks. On one side it cracks, and the other side it because it's not a dry stick, it's a wet stick. So when you break it, when you turn it like this, it makes a U shape, and then you can use that for scraping the tongue. So in the Ramarchana Chandrika, I actually have Ramarchana Chandrika as well, if anybody wants to have a look at that, although it's not translated, but we could have a look at the Sanskrit. It's a nice book used by Ramananda Sampradaya, mostly about the worship, Ramarchana, the worship of Lord Rama. So in text 234, he's quoting from Ramarchana Chandrika, which Chandrika means the moonlight. So the moonlight on the worship of Lord Rama. Without using kusha grass and the first finger, one should rinse his mouth with 12 palms full of water while chanting the mantra, Somo Rajaya Magnam, Same Mukam, Marjate, Yashasa, Chabhagi Nava. Okay, so I don't know that mantra, but maybe it's a Vedic mantra. We could look it up in the Vedic concordance, and we can see if it's there. I'm not seeing in the Sanskrit itself where the mantra is coming from. It may be that mantra is mentioned in the purport or the commentary by Sanatana Goswami. So after chanting this mantra, one should brush his teeth in the morning. And by the way, taking 12 palmfuls of water and rinsing the mouth was something that was done after eating. It's also something which was mentioned before that one is supposed to do when he can't even use a 18.9 inches. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong about that, about 48 centimeters. Well, we have to check out exactly what Dwadasangula means. I don't know. Dasangulam. Dasangulam is the super soul is supposed to be Dasangulam. So that's supposed to be the pan. That's 10, right? And here, let's have a look again. Here it says in the previous verse, Dwadasangula. So the span of the hand is 10, right? It's 4 plus 4 plus 2, right, is equal to this between the middle finger and the thumb, which is the span of the hand. And that's supposed to be 10. And in the Rig Veda Purusha Sukta, it says that the super soul can be this big in the heart. So here it's saying 12, so it's even bigger than that, bigger than the span of the hand. So your toothbrush is quite long, according to this pramana in or this proof in 233. Anyway, continuing on, right? After chanting this particular mantra, we don't know where that's from exactly. One should brush the teeth in the morning with a twig, which is about 6 inches long, and was preferably taken from a peepal tree. One should not use a twig of a banyan tree, kadira tree, palasha tree, arka tree, mango tree, or bilva tree. Okay, so here we've got, let me see if bilva is mentioned there. Is bilva actually mentioned in the, it says bina arka, it says arka, and it says bilva. Okay, so this is interesting because the previous statement was here that you could use bilva. Bilva and amarga are especially auspicious in text 229 to 232. And then in 234, we have saying that you cannot use the bilva tree. So that's interesting. So we have some problem here. Maybe in the purport he's explaining. Peepal is a type of banyan tree. Okay, exactly what type of tree is a peepal? We have to look it up in the dictionary. So one should avoid brushing the teeth on the first day, the 14th day, the 8th day, the 9th day of the waning moon. Okay. Yeah, ficus religiosus is normally the thickest of ficus or banyan tree. Yeah, the one that grows big and the roots grow down and the branches grow down, the roots grow up. So there are some, he's mentioning here also, that's people. Okay, all right. So then, okay, here's some days to avoid brushing your teeth. First day, 14th day, first day, 8th day, 9th day, 14th day of the waning moon, right? That is the Krishna Paksha. As well as the full moon day, Purnima, the new moon day, Amavasya, and on the day when the sun travels from one zodiac to another, which was the Sankranti, right? Okay, so that's all about the twigs, about brushing the teeth. Now, the next thing is 235 to 236, combing the hair. Now, remember that women don't take a head bath every day because if they have longer hair. So maybe even if men have longer hair, the idea is if you have very long hair, the hair will be wet. And if the hair is wet, then you can catch a cold. Okay, so the idea is to simply clean the hair by combing the hair with a clean comb. And that's considered to be cleaning the hair if you have hair. And if you shave the head, shave the face and head, or just if you're shaving, if you've got very short hair, then maybe you can wash your hair every day. But in any case, whether you wash it or you don't wash it, if you have hair, you have to comb it. Even if you have a sika, you have to comb it. Although there are some people who keep matted, matted, but mostly in Brahminical society, they don't keep matted hair. Okay, so there are some yogis who keep matted hair, but in general, people don't keep matted hair. So that means they comb it. So it says here about combing the hair. There's two verses here, 235 and 236. It says, after brushing the teeth, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas should wash their hands and mouth and then comb their hair according to the rules and regulations mentioned previously. Thereafter, they should chant Omkara and the Gayatri mantra while tying their shika. So shika, or the tuft of hair, which is, here he's saying that the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas should do this. So these Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas were all keeping a shika, at least when they're in Gurukula, they're keeping a shika. And they would comb it, and they have to tie it. They have to comb it and tie it, and then they have to chant Omkara and Gayatri mantra while tying their shika, right? There's also another classical Sanskrit mantra for tying the shika: Brahma Vakra Sahasrena, Shiva Vakra Statena Cha, Vishnu Nama Sahasrena, Siko Grantim Karomiyaham. I tie my shika with the 1,000 names of Vishnu, 100 names of Shiva, and the 100 names of Brahma. Brahma Vakra Sahasrena. No, 1,000 names of Brahma, 100 names of Shiva, 1,000 names of Vishnu. I tie my hair. Okay, so now we're going to come to the actual bath. So just to recap, what did we do? We got up and we're going to do our ablutions. So we go and we go and do our ablutions, pass stool and urine. After passing stool and urine, we have to wash ourselves. We have to clean our body. And then after that's done, then we have to do achmana. We have to brush our teeth with a toothbrush, scrape the tongue, comb the hair. And after combing the hair, right here, then the next thing is we take a bath, right? So comb the hair, get the siko tied up, and with mantra, either either Omkara with the Gayatri mantra or this other mantra that I just gave, the classical Sanskrit one. It should say it is said that one should not comb his hair while facing south or looking up. So I'm not sure about looking up, but facing south is yama, is the direction of death. So obviously it's not an auspicious direction usually to face. So we should not do that. So then we come to the bath. So text 237 to 238 in the Vishnu Purana, there's a discussion between Orva Muni and Sagara, right? And it's stated, before performing his daily duties, the devotee should bathe in the water of a river, lake, pond, kunda, or stream that flows down from a mountain. One can also bathe by collecting water in a pot from a well. If the need arises, one may also bathe with water that has been stored, as well as warm water. Okay. So water that's been stored means from a tank or something like that, or perhaps you pull the water from the well in a bucket or a pot and you just kept it overnight. But normally it should be fresh water, not water that's stored. And this is only done if the need arises. Okay, and warm water. So normally ritual bath is cold water bath, but there is a possibility to use warm water also. But not usually when you're doing a vrat or a different particular ceremony or something like that, usually it's cold water bath. So then text 239. So it's just saying, it's giving a quotation from Sage Katyayana about how bathing actually should be done every day. So a healthy person should bathe in the morning and also at noon. So remember, we're getting up in the Brahma Muhurta an hour and 36 minutes before sunrise. So then we're going to take bath sometime either before or after sunrise. Here in Hari Bhakti Vilasa talks about going out and taking bath after sunrise, but it could also be done before sunrise. And also at noon, because we're going to perform our Sandhya Vandanam, we're going to chant our Gayatri mantras and our other Pancharatric mantras. If we're not initiated into the Gayatri mantra, we'll also be chanting Pancharatric mantras. And we're going to do that in the morning. We're going to do that at noon also. We're going to do that in the evening also. So just before evening, one could also take a bath. But here it's just mentioning morning and noon, because the normal person is a grihasta, and therefore for a grihasta twice a day, taking a bath. For a sannyasi 3 times a day. For a brahmachari, maybe even only once a day. So that may be mentioned here also, how many times a person should take bath. Remember, these are all rules and regulations for India. India is normally, unless you go up in the Himalayas, it's normally a pretty hot country. And so therefore taking a few baths a day is not considered very difficult. So you may even enjoy it. Every human being is impure by nature and has 9 holes. So there are different holes in the body, and each one of them is considered to be impure. Dirty substance emanates from these holes day and night. By bathing in the morning, one's body becomes purified. Very simple thing. Text 240 and 241, Daksha says, here we go. Members of the Vanaprastha and Grihastha ashrams should bathe in the morning and at noon. Very simple. So those retired people, either householders or retired people, they should bathe in the morning and noon. Sannyasis or renounced people, they should bathe 3 times a day. And brahmacharis, students, they can just bathe once a day. If unable to do this, all of them can bathe only once a day. So if it's difficult, just bathe once a day. If still unable to do this, one can purify himself by chanting mantras. Remember, we were discussing about different types of bath. One of those baths is sprinkling water and chanting mantras. Or even if you can't sprinkle water, you can remember the Lord, you can chant his holy names, and in that way you can become purified. Remember, in that section about remembering the Lord, that was considered the best type of bath. The best type of bath. So we remember that now. Simply remembering the Supreme Lord by chanting his names, that's the best type of bath, and that we can always do. So if we're traveling and we're in a train or on a plane or something like that, and there's nowhere we can take a bath, we can simply do it by remembering the Supreme Person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, or chanting his holy name, and we become purified. Apavitra pavitra va sarvavashtam vitopiva yasmanit pundarikaksham sabhayabhyam tarasichahi. From Guru to Purana, we know purified or impure, impure, pure or impure, purified or unpurified. If we simply remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, who has eyes like lotus petals, we become purified within and without. Okay. But if we can, we should take a water bath. And if we belong to these different ashrams, we can, these different stages of our life, we can take more or less bath if we have a time and if we have the possibility to do this. Text 242, it's also said, if one's unable to bathe, as previously described, a karmi, it says up here, karminam, of karmis, of workers, karmi. Exactly what it means by karmi is not known. Karma yogi, a person who's performing karma yoga. Karma yoga means working and offering the fruit of that labor to God. So a karmi can bathe without putting water on his head. Okay. One can cleanse his body by wiping it with a wet cloth or rubbing it with a wet hand. So this is called like a sponge bath. Sometimes in the hospital they do this to you. If somebody is sick and they can't take a full bath, then they can take a cloth or they can take a sponge and they can sponge themselves down and then dry off like that. So that type of bath is also possible. And remember, hot water is also possible if you have that. If you're sick or if you're doing some, if you're sick and you don't want to get a cold. So Shanka, a person called Shanka, also said, without bathing, a human being is not eligible to perform ritualistic activities such as fire sacrifice and chanting mantras. So since Vaishnavas, every day we're chanting mantras, every day, we're performing different Vaishnava rituals. So we're not eligible to do that without preliminarily taking a bath. Now, it could be a mantra bath, but there should be some type of bath, right, which is done. So here it's specifically mentioned japadi havanadishu. So it means japa and havan, and so japa of a mantra, chanting of a mantra, or havan, fire sacrifice, should be done only after bath. Text 244 in the Dasagita, again from the Kurma Purana, it's stated, right? Unless one bathes in the morning, he's not qualified to perform any activities, especially chanting mantras or performing sacrifices. So again, same thing that was in the previous sloka. That is, one must bathe in the morning. Right. Since we're going to do many, many things during the day, we should probably bathe in the morning, at least in the morning. If we're going to bathe only one time, it should be in the morning. So the Kashikanda also says in 245, when a human being sleeps, he becomes contaminated by sweating and by saliva. Therefore, only by bathing in the morning can one be qualified to chant mantras, offer prayers, and perform religious acts. Conversation between Devahuti and Vikundala in the Padma Purana, it's stated in text 246 and 247 that anyone who eats, right, without first bathing is considered to eat stool. A person remains, so here they're trying to suggest to you, don't eat before taking bath. Now, obviously, most Vaishnavas are not going to do this because in order to do puja, in order to worship the Supreme Lord, right, you are going to have to take a bath. So at the end of the puja or some way through the puja is when you have to offer the food and to the Lord, the Naivedyam, the Bhoga. And you're not going to eat before you offer the food to the Lord because you're only going to eat what's offered to the Lord. So naturally, you have to take bath before you eat because you have to take bath, then you have to do puja, then you have to make an offering, then you have to eat only after finishing the offering. So it's a natural consequence of being a Vaishnava that we always take bath sometime before we eat. So therefore, it said, if you eat first, what your eating is considered like eating stool. A person remains impure by failing to bathe, and as a result, the forefathers and demigods do not become pleased with him. Right. So when we do different rituals, or we want the devatas, especially Lord Krishna, who's the supreme devata, the supreme personality of Godhead, and we also want the forefathers. We want our ancestors to also be proud of us, to bless us, like that. So in order to do that, we should unfailingly take a bath. A person who avoids bathing is sinful and always impure. One who does not bathe suffers miseries in hellish conditions. And so even in this life, if you don't bathe, you're going to get some diseases. It's just not a good idea not to do it. That's right. And in his next life, he is born in a family of outcasts or pulkashas. Okay, so you've got these outcasts from society. You will be reborn as an outcast if you don't take a bath. Now we're going to get the glories of bathing, a Mahatmya about bathing, which is coming from the Mahabharata. So text 248, the Udyoga Pavani, which is Vidura is going to tell us about the glories of taking bath. 10 good qualities: strength, beauty, a sweet voice, fairness, softness of touch, fragrance, purity, attraction, youthfulness, and effulgence. Always adorn, a person who regularly bathes. In other words, a person who bathes daily possesses all these qualities. Devahuti and Vikundala, speaking again in Padma Purana, in text 249 to 252, say, a person who bathes daily does not suffer the punishment of Yamaraj. What to speak of this? Even the most sinful people become purified by bathing daily. Oh Vaishyas, oh Vaishya, oh Vaishya, right? Merchant, businessman. Entrepreneur. By bathing in the morning, one becomes purified, both internally and externally. As a result, one becomes thoroughly purified and so does not have to suffer in hell. So just by that's nice. So they're encouraging you, saying, just by bathing, just by taking a bath, you don't have to go to hell. Interesting. Those who bathe in the flowing waters of streams on auspicious occasions never suffer from any distress. Such people will not have to take birth in a low-class family, or best of the Vaishyas. Those who become purified by bathing in the morning do not have bad dreams or anxieties. So there's so many benefits. Now in the Atri Smriti, it's described, 253 to 254, by bathing daily, one's mind becomes joyful, the demigods become pleased, and one develops good fortune, beauty, happiness, good health, piety, knowledge, fame, and patience. Bathing in the morning destroys grave sinful reactions, removes inauspicious symptoms, as well as anxiety, lamentation, and distress. So continuing on with text 255, from the Kuma Purana, the Vyasa Gita section, it says, bathing in the morning awards a person benefit, both in this world and in the next. Therefore, it is highly praised by thoughtful people. There is no doubt that all sinful reactions can be destroyed simply by bathing in the morning. So there you go. You want to get rid of your sins? Just bathe in the morning. Now, continuing on from Kashikanda, text 256 to 257, the human body is always contaminated, always considered to be contaminated, and consists of 9 holes through which contaminated substances are excreted. By bathing in the morning, all types of contamination become cleared off. In other words, by bathing in the morning, the body becomes pure. Bathing in the morning gives one enthusiasm, intelligence, good fortune, beauty, wealth, and happiness. For this reason, it is highly glorified. Text 258 to 260. Learned people say that bathing as the sun rises destroys all sinful reactions. So that's another thing. You're taking bath in the water's purifying you, but the rays of the sun, the rising sun is also hitting you, and it's also purifying you. A morning bath destroys sin, inauspicious. Learned people say that bathing as the sun rises destroys all sinful reactions, just like the vow of Prajapatya. So there's different vows. One vow is called Prajapatya. Not exactly sure what that is in this context, so we'd have to look that up. A morning bath destroys sin on inauspicious symptoms, laziness, impurities, and the effects of bad dreams. It awards one satisfaction and good health. Miseries can never approach a person who bathes in the morning. A morning bath is beneficial in this life and in the next. These are all reasons why one should bathe early in the morning. Continuing on to text 261, two kinds of bath. There are two kinds of baths, right, basically. A general bath and a morning bath. General bath and a morning bath have been prescribed in the scriptures. Although both baths appear similar, there is a difference between them because the morning bath is more important than the general bath. Okay, so now we're going to get the actual process of taking bath. Right, and this should be used for ritual bath because obviously regular bath, we're just going to, nowadays we have bathrooms and we go and we take a shower, and that's the regular bath for us. But here is the process of the ritual bath and how to actually do it. Text 262, 263. Okay, so here's the procedure. After going to a holy reservoir of water, like a tank or a river, one should keep his clean clothes, kusha grass, which is he's going to use for a kusha grass ring, and clay on the bank. So he needs clay and he needs these different things. And then, according to the rules and regulations, as prescribed by his varna, or his class, and his ashrama, his stage of life, he should bathe. No good result is attained by performing a daily or occasional ritualistic activity while wearing unclean clothes. Right? So he's going to have the clean clothes with him. And like I said, normally he goes to that place, that holy tirtha, to take bath, and he will keep the clean things inside a container which is made of, kusha grass or some other type of bamboo type grass like that, which is something which is pure. He'll keep his fresh clothes in there, and he shouldn't touch them when he's dirty. So what happens generally is in the households of Brahmins, they have bamboo rods which are held up by the ceiling. So there'll be a couple of rings on the ceiling with some ropes coming down with rings, and you put the bamboo pole through there. And then with another bamboo rod, after you wash the clothes, you hang up the dhotis and saris, the cloth, onto this bamboo drying line, like clothesline, made of bamboo, which is pure. Okay, and then when you want to take it down, you also have to use this bamboo stick to bring it down with you. You can't touch it with your hand because obviously you haven't taken bath yet. And then you put it inside this container made of bamboo or grass or something like that, and you close it and you take it down to the river with you. So continuing on to 264. First of all, one should wash his hands and feet. So the first part of is you've made it to the reservoir, to the holy tirtha, to the river bank, and you put down your kusha grass and your clay and your whatever you've brought with you to use, and because you need clay to take bath with, You need kusha grass afterwards because you're going to make a kusha grass ring to wear, and you're going to wear the clean clothes. So you need all those things. So you bring them in a basket. You've got this basket, woven basket thing, and you put it down. And then I have a nice video of a person doing all this, so we can see that video at some time. First of all, once you wash his hands and feet. Okay, so wash the hands and feet. Then very respectfully offer obeisances and prayers to the reservoir of water, because the reservoir of water is holy, right? So it may not be the Ganges, it may not be the one of the sacred rivers, but it is certainly holy place because it's considered like that, and to the Supreme Lord. So we should offer our prayers and obeisances to that reservoir and to the Supreme Lord. And certain rivers and things, there are special mantras, there are classical mantras for bathing in each one of the rivers, the holy rivers. And normally we can bathe in holy rivers also. The holy rivers are considered to be goddesses. What do we mean by holy rivers again? We mean a great river that comes from a mountain and goes all the way down and enters into the sea. So there are maybe smaller rivers that come into it, but the main river, the river that actually exits into the sea is considered holy, or it's considered a Mahanadi, a great river. Okay, so we offer respectful obeisances to the river or the tank. It could be a holy tirtha, and there might be a specific mantra, specific classical Sanskrit mantra to say, and then to the Supreme Lord we can offer a prayer, and then offer arghya to the water. Arghya means we have to offer water to the water, like that. So we take water from the water, lift it up in our palms, and offer arghya to that, while remembering the most sanctified rivers such as the Ganges. So I have to remember them. To remember the Ganges, there are many prayers, but specifically the Ganges of Ahana prayer, or the sacred rivers, that holy prayer that can be gone through, or the different 12 names, I think, or 13 names of the Ganges. Nandini, Nalini, Sita, it's here. But there's also this Ganga Chaya Munachaiva mantra, which we all know. Okay, so text 265 and to 267 is going to, after we do that, what we do is we say, oh, he whose voice is grave like an ocean. So it's actually going to give you the mantras for offering the obeisances and offering this arghya, right? He whose voice is grave like an ocean, he who holds a stick in his hand, O killer of the demons, O creator of the universe, O annihilator of the universe, O master of the demigods, I offer my obeisances unto you. After chanting this mantra, and that's given up here, let's see. Imam Mantram Samucharya. So the first one. Sagara Swana Nirgosha, Danda Hasta Surantaka, Jagat Shrastar Jagan Mardin, Namami Tvam Sureshwara. That's the mantra. Okay. And or maybe that's it. Maybe the whole thing is a mantra. Imam Mantram Samucharya, Tirtashnanam Samacharit, Anyata Tat Palas Yardyam, Tirte Sho Harati Swayam, Natvata Tirtam Snanartam, Anugyam Prartayed Imam, Deva Jagannatha Sankachakra Gadadara, Dehi Vishnu, Amanugyam, Tava Tirtanusevani. That's a well-known one. The last 4 lines. Deva Jagannatha Sankachakra Gadadara, Dehi Vishnu, Mama Anugyam, Tava Tirtanusevani. Okay. So he whose voice is grave, like the ocean, he who holds a stick in his hand, O killer of the demons, O creator of the universe, O annihilator of the universe, O master of the demigods, I offer my obeisances unto you. After chanting this mantra, one should prepare to bathe in the holy reservoir. If one does not follow this procedure, the predominating deity of the holy place will take away half of the piety that one had accumulated by bathing there. Before bathing, one should pray as follows to the Lord to obtain permission for bathing and rendering service in that holy place. O Lord of Lords, O Lord of the universe, O holder of the conch, fierce club, and lotus, O Lord Vishnu, kindly give me permission to serve your holy place. And continuing on, text 268 to 272. Thereafter, according to the prescribed rules and regulations, one should smear clay. Remember, he brought the clay, and he has this clay. So the clay should be, when you come, you need to take the clay out of the basket, or you need to get clay from the bank of the river, whatever. And one should smear clay over his body and then enter the water of that holy place. If one bathes in a river, he should turn so that he's facing against the current. So wherever the current is coming, you should face upstream. And if he's bathing in a pond or a lake, you should face the sun. The sun is coming up, and the sun will also purify us. So you can face the sun, which means facing east, because it's the morning. Thereafter, one should purify all directions and then invoke goddess Ganga as emanating from the sun. Now, normally when you do this, you either mentally or physically with your finger draw a square or draw a mandala, just draw a square on the surface of the water when you go in, and then invoke the Ganga into that part of the water. Into the whole water is okay. So you're invoking the Ganges as emanating from the sun. Now, the Lord is there within the sun. Narayana, Surya Narayana. Deya Sarasvati Mandala Madhyavarti Narayana Sarasajasana Sanivista Ke Yorvan Makarakundalavan Pariti Hari Hiramavudi Sanka Chakra. So meditate upon the Lord as Surya Narayana within the sun, and then from his foot is going to come the Ganges, right? Because the Ganges comes from where the foot of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu's foot goes up into the sky and pierces the material covering, and some of the Viraja ocean, the Viraja River, or the Karanadak Ocean, the ocean of causal ocean, comes flowing down from the I think it's the left foot of the Lord, the left big toe. It comes down, and it comes down to the earth. So we can meditate on that, and then afterwards, one should hold kusha grass in his hand and meditate on the lotus feet of Sri Krishna while simultaneously practicing pranayam. So kusha grass should be made into a Brahma Granthi, into a ring which is worn on the hand, and then one has to perform pranayam. One has to perform pranayam and meditate on the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, right? He should then bathe in the holy water after chanting the holy names of the Lord, the Supreme Lord, and performing achamana and pranayama while chanting the Mula Mantra. Remember, the Mula Mantra here, or the root mantra here, for Gauri Vaishnavas, is the Gopal Mantra, the 18-syllable Gopal Mantra. So he's going to be bathing. Now, a lot of times when people are bathing also, what do they mean by bathing? It doesn't mean that they just pour water over themselves, but if you're in a lake or a river, you actually submerge yourself in the water. And each time you submerge yourself, you're going to say the mantra. Now, another thing that people do is they stick the thumbs in the ear holes, and they close the mouth with the little finger and the ring finger. They close the nostrils with the middle finger, and they close the eyelids with the index finger. And in this way, they cover all the holes in the top of the head, and then they dunk under the water. You know, they crouch down under the water, and the water covers them completely. And each time they do, they can chant the Mula Mantra. Now, you may say, how do you chant the Mula Mantra when you've got your mouth closed? Well, you have to chant it in your mind. Otherwise, you chant it when you come up, you open your mouth and chant it out loud. Either way, you have to chant the Mula Mantra when that's the most important part while taking the bath. Thereafter, one should once again bathe. Okay, so remember that we have, first thing we've done is that we have, first of all, we're getting in there and we're getting wet. After we're getting wet, we're going to clean the body with the clay. The clay will still be on the body, and then we have to dunk down like this in the water. Thereafter, one should once again bathe. So after all the clay has come off the body by dunking in this way, then that was just cleaning. Now we have to actually take a bath beyond the cleaning, right? So we have to rinse. So thereafter, one should once again bathe while remembering Sri Krishna. Again, every time we bathe, we should remember Sri Krishna. We should always remember Krishna. But anyway, one should submerge oneself in the water 12 times while chanting the holy names of Keshava to Damodar. Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara, Rishikesha, Padmanabha, Damodara. Some people say Om Keshava Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhava Namaha. Some people say the vocative case. That was the dative case. And some people say the vocative case. O Keshava, O Narayana, Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, like that. Okay. So up to Damodar, 12 times. Okay. So that's a regular bath. That's a regular bath. And now, Tatra Vishesha, there's some special considerations. According to Narada Pancharatra in text 273 here, it says, if one remembers other holy places while bathing in a most glorious holy place, such as the Ganga or Yamuna, the predominating deities curse him and immediately depart. Okay, so you should very carefully, when you're taking bath in a particular holy place, you should meditate upon that holy place and not other holy places. So don't take bath in the Ganges and think about the Yamuna. Don't take in the Yamuna and think about the Ganges. So this is the point. So according to Narada Pancharatra, you should think about, remember the holy place that you're in and not other holy places. So some more special considerations in this connection are given in the conversation between Narada and King Ambarish in the Padma Purana, in the Vaishaka Mahatmyam, the Mahatmyam, the glories of the month of Vaishaka. So it's stated here that after chanting the holy name of the Lord, the Supreme Lord, and controlling one's speech, what does it mean, controlling one's speech? It means not speaking anything which is not a mantra or not a prayer or not to be spoken, right? Controlling one's speech, basically remaining silent. After chanting the holy name of the Lord and then controlling one's speech. Even chanting the holy name of the Lord can be considered controlling your speech. So sometimes we say controlling speech means not saying anything, but here it's saying chanting the holy name of the Lord and then controlling your speech. One should first wash his feet before entering the water. Okay, so here again, we're getting a slightly different take on it. First of all, wash your feet before entering the water, right? Why? Because the feet are dirty and it's a holy place. And so we're going to wash our feet before we go into the water. So how do we do that? We take some water in a container, take it aside on the bank of the shore of the bank of the river or the shore of the tank, and we wash our feet first before we go and take bath in the water, right? So again, Hari Bhakti Vilasa is not always in exact order. So we have to see this part and we have to remember that before we go and do what we just talked about, dunking down and washing with clay and then also chanting the different names of Vishnu 12 times, we have to first clean our feet before we go into the holy water. So one should follow the prescribed rules for bathing while remembering Sri Narayana, Supreme Person. An intelligent person should perform Achmana, chant the Mula mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya. So here in this it's actually said, does it actually say? It says actually Om Namo Narayanaya iti Mula mantra udahrita. Okay, so it actually mentions you should chant the Mula mantra Om Namo Narayanaya. So there's nothing wrong if you chant the Gopal mantra, or if you chant some other mantra, which is the Mula mantra for you, which is the mantra that you were initiated into in the second Vilasa, the Guru initiated you into. But here specifically, because this is coming from, let's see, Padma Purana, it's mentioning chant Om Namo Narayanaya, the 8-syllable mantra. Okay. And then offer obeisances to the ground. Right. So first of all, Achmana. First of all, you wash your feet, then do Achmana, chant the Mula mantra Om Namo Narayanaya, then offer your obeisances on the ground with kusha grass on your hand and kusha grass ring, and then afterwards you can go inside. He should then draw a square measuring 4 feet. Remember I said about drawing a square on the water, and invoke the Ganges by chanting this mantra. Vishnu Pada Prasuta Si Vaishnavi Vishnu Devata Trihi Nastvena Sastasmat Ajanma Maranantikat. O Mother Ganges, you have emanated from the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. You're the energy of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu is your worshipable Lord. Please deliver us from all the sins that we have committed since the time of birth. Now remember, this is a prayer to the Ganges, so specifically we're going to use this if we take bath in the Ganges. And we should probably not use it if we're going to take bath in some other holy place, because it was mentioned back there. Continuing on with text 278 to 80, right? It's stated, thereafter, one should take a handful of water. So you go into a handful of water. I see, a handful of water. So this is even before we get into the first we draw a square and we invoke the Ganges, right? And afterwards we take a handful of water and we sprinkle some of that water on our head, right? So we take a handful of that Ganges water, we just invoke the Ganges there, and chant a mantra, such as Deva Deva Jagannatha, which came a couple of slokas back, and then put the water on her head. And then one should do this either 4, 5, or 7 times, and then bathe once again, right? So some people they take water up and they hold it above the head in a Kumbha mudra, and then they pour it on the head. Anyway, this should be done 4, 5, or 7 times, and then bathe once again. Then one should follow the same procedure using clay. So here it's talking about, first of all, bathing with water, and then later on using clay to rinse the body, to clean the body, and then again rinsing. One should pray Om Vasundara, Om Ashvakranta, Om Ratakranta, Om Vishnukranta, Om Ritika. Ritika means earth or dirt. Kindly nullify all the sinful reactions that I've obtained. Sri Krishna, who has assumed the form of Varaha to deliver the earth from the nether regions, puts an end to the living entity's entanglement in the cycle of repeated birth and death. My obeisances unto you. And let's see, there's actually a Vedic mantra, Ashvakrante, Vishnukrante, was it? Ashvakrante. We have here, this is coming from Bhushukta, Udrita si Varahina Krishnena Sadabahuna, right? And we have up here Ashvakrante, Radhakrante, Vishnukrante, Vasundara, Mitige, Harame Papam, Nanmaya Duskritam Kritam. That's a Vedic mantra. So, okay. Continuing on with text 281. After this, if these people are present, one should wash the feet of the spiritual master, the brahmanas, one's parents, and then sprinkle the water on his head. Okay, so if you're taking bath as a group, right, and your guru's there are brahmins there, your parents are there, and after you've all finished bathing, then you should wash those people's feet, and you should take a little bit of the water from washing their feet and sprinkle it on your head. Text 282 from Padma Purana also, it said, O son, the water that has washed the lotus feet of the spiritual master is more sanctified than the water that from millions of holy places. And 283, a person whose head is soaked with the water that has washed the feet of a brahmana has obtained the results of bathing in the Ganges. Now in the Gautamiya Tantra, in 284, it says, all of the holy places on earth are situated in the ocean, right? The ocean is considered to be the sum of all the holy places in the earth. The ocean is pure. And all the oceans are situated in the right foot of a brahmana, right? So the right foot specifically of a brahmana is the one that you should wash, and you should wash both his feet, but take the water from the right foot, right? So just like we say the Ganges in the right ear of the brahmana, in the right foot of the brahmana is the ocean and all the different oceans of the world. And the ocean is considered pure because it's considered to be the sum of all the holy places. Text 285. All the holy places are situated within a conch shell. So conch shell is also very, very pure, and it's considered all the holy places are there within the conch shell. This is why, if possible, one should bathe by pouring water from a conch shell while chanting the Mula mantra. So you can even have a conch shell and pour water from a conch shell on yourself. And also, again, chant the Mula mantra, either on the Narayana or the Dwadasakshara mantra, the Astadakshara mantra, the 18 syllable mantra, right? Gopal mantra. So continuing on with text 286, similarly, if one should drink a small portion of the water along with a tulsi leaf that has been used for the bathing of Shalagram Shila, one should sprinkle the rest of the water on his head. Okay, so this may not be available down there at the riverbank or by the lake, by the pond, by the kund. But at least this may be available at home in your home shrine. And you should drink some charamita and the tulsi leaf and sprinkle on your head. It was also, remember, said that when you get up, you should do this too. Okay, so it's good to have a little bit of charamita and tulsi left over from the day before to take as part of the bath and as part of getting up. The next day, again in the Gautamiya Tantra, in text 287, it said, after placing within a conch shell some water mixed with sandalwood paste and tulsi leaf that has been offered to Shalagram Shila. So if you've got some tulsi, you've got old tulsi leaves and sandalwood paste that's come off the Shalagram, and you put that in water in a conch shell, one should wave the conch shell in a circular motion 3 times in the air and sprinkle the water over his head. Wave it 3 times clockwise, and then take some water and sprinkle it on the head. Pour some water out, sprinkle it on the head. Text 288 to 289. First, one should drink a few drops of water that have been used to bathe the Shalagram Shila and then sprinkle the rest on his head. If one does it the other way around, he incurs the sin of killing a Brahmin. Okay, so we should not sprinkle water on the head and then drink the water. We have to drink the water first and then sprinkle the water on the head. One should drink the water that has washed the feet of a Brahmin before drinking the water that has washed the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Okay, so if there's a situation where you have 2 things, in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they have a thing called Tripada Tirtha. Tripada Tirtha means it's the water that's washed the feet or the shoes or the sandals, paduka of the guru, right? Or of a Brahmin, but normally it's the guru, right? And normally the Tripada Tirtha is only offered to people who are direct disciples, right? It's not offered to everybody, right? And normally this will not be offered in a temple to anybody, but it'll be offered in a mutt, or where the guru is the head of the mutt, or it'll be offered in the guru's Tirumalagay, which means the guru's residence, where he also has a puja room. And when the disciple goes to visit the guru, he will take this Sripada Tirtha. So here it's saying, if there's 2 types of charanamrita which are available to take, if there's the guru's charanamrita and there's also Krishna's charanamrita, and then normally when we do puja, if we're worshiping the guru and we're worshiping Krishna and we're worshiping different deities, we might take, it's possible to keep the charanamrita from each deity separate, and there will be an order in which we take the charanamrita, each type of charanamrita. Sometimes it all gets mixed up in one. It's all going to get mixed up in one, and it's going to be offered. But more often than not, at least you're going to separate the Lord's charanamrita from that of the guru's feet or the Brahmin's feet. So here it said, if you're washing the feet of a Brahmin, you should drink the water from the feet of a Brahmin first, or your guru, before taking the charanamrita of Lord Vishnu's, washing of Lord Vishnu's feet. If one does not follow this procedure, he is to be addressed as the killer of a Brahmin. Okay, so don't take Krishna charanamrita first and then the guru's charanamrita or Brahmin. Take the guru's charanamrita or Brahmin's charanamrita first, and then take Krishna's. I think that's clear. So here we're talking about taking charanamrita. Text 290, of course, this may not be applicable because the guru and your parents and Brahmins may not be accompanying you to take a bath down at the river or down the pond. But if they do, then you have to wash their feet and sprinkle some water, but also sip some water like that. But if you can't, then when you get back to your house and you've got some charnamrita, some tulsi, some sandalwood paste from the day before, you can use it to sprinkle on yourself and to take charnamrita. So text 290, right? It's going to give you an actual mantra to sip to use when sipping the charnamrita. Here it is. Akala mityuharanam sarvad yadi vinashanam Vishno paradakam pitva sivasadhariyamyaham. Okay, very simple mantra. I drink the water that has washed the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu and hold it on my head because it removes the danger of untimely death and suffering of all kinds of diseases. Continuing to text 291, the glories of drinking the water that have washed the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and sprinkling it on one's head will be described later on. So we're going to get to this topic once more about how to take charnamrita. It's going to come after the 8th Vilasa when we finish doing the daily puja of the deity. So now the glories of bathing in sanctified water are going to be described. So here next we have in text 292 to 294, we have a Mahatmyam, or the glories of doing an abhishek, or sprinkling water from the Shalagram Shila on your head. So Padma Purana states, right, one who is bathed by the water that has been used to bathe the Shalagram Shila should be considered to have bathed in all holy places and to have been initiated into all sacrifices, all kinds of sacrifices. The holy water of sacred rivers such as Ganga, Godavari, and Reva, which award liberation, are present within the water that has been used to bathe the Shalagram Shila. What is the use of visiting millions of holy places and bathing in holy water found there if one obtains water that has been used for the bathing of Shalagram Shila? So this is a rhetorical question here. It's basically saying, you don't need to bathe in all these holy places if you can just get this water that's been used to bathe Shalagram, and you can take bath with that by sprinkling a little on your head. Text 295 in another conversation between Gautama and Ambarisha, Maharaj Ambarisha. The following statement is found. O Ambarisha, I always wish to become a dependent servant of those whose bodies have been drenched by the water that has washed the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Text 296. Only for as long as the water that has been used to bathe the Shalagram Shila is not available, all the holy water of the three worlds can display its importance. Okay, so we may think that other water is important, is spiritual, but actually this is the most important water, the water that is come from the bathing in the Shalagram. Text 297 in the Kartik Mahatmya Skanda Purana, it mentions a person who daily sprinkles the water that has been used to bathe the Shalagram Shila on his head is considered to have bathed in the Ganges, even though he may remain at home. So even if you're taking bath in the house or in the compound where there's a well, right, still if you take some of this water that's bathed the Shalagram and sprinkle it on your head, you're considered to have gone to the Ganges and taken bath. Text 298 to 300. Elsewhere in the same Purana, that means the Skanda Purana, it says, all the holy water and all the demigods headed by Brahma are not equal to even 1/16th portion of the water that has washed the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. The sinful reaction for killing a Brahmana can at once be vanquished if one sprinkles on his head the water that has been used to bathe the Shalagram Shila or a Dwarka Shila. We're going to hear about Dwarka Shilas and Shalagram Shilas. We're also going to hear about them in the 5th Vilasa of Hari Bhakti Vilasa. There's going to be a description of what they are. They're actually, these Shalagrams are stone ammonites, which contain some fossils sometimes of chakra markings, like Lord Vishnu has a chakra. And they come from a place in Nepal called the Kali Gandaki River, the Gandaki River. And the Dwarka Shila is a type of coral which comes from the coastline at Krishna's capital, Dwarka, in Gujarat. And these are two holy stones, self-manifest forms of the Supreme Person, Sri Krishna. A person who bathes in the water that has been used to bathe the Shalagam Shila after putting it in a conch shell obtains the result of bathing after conducting a grand sacrifice. Such a person is also considered to have bathed in the Ganges. Continuing on from the Narasimha Purana, text 301 says, bathing in the Ganges at Prayag. Prayag means Allahabad, where there's a confluence of three holy rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. At Gaya, right, which is a holy place of Lord Vishnu's footprints, where we go for doing, one time we have to go and do the Shraddha for our ancestors there, our parents. At Naimisharanya is a forest, and that forest is a self-manifest form of the Supreme Person, personality of Godhead. The forest itself is considered to be an avatar of the Lord, holy avatar. At Pushkar is a place in Rajasthan where there's a tank, and there's also the Kumbh Mela goes on there in certain intervals. And at places in Kurujangala destroys a person's sinful reactions after a long time. So bathing in those places destroy our sinful reactions after a long time, right? So in other words, you have to bathe there many, many times to destroy all your sinful reactions. But the water that has washed the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, immediately purifies one, immediately. So that this Charnamrita is a most potent type of water to sprinkle on the head and to take as a bath. In the Smriti literature, it describes in text 202 to 203, by bathing in a river that does not flow into the ocean. Remember I said the river should flow into the ocean, and that makes it a holy river. A person gets 3 times the benefit of bathing at home. So if you're just in your house and you're pulling water from the well in the compound, or you're taking bath from some stored water, which it said it's possible. You might have to take bath from some stored water. If you take bath in a river, which is actually flowing to the ocean, you get 3 times the benefit than staying at home. By bathing in a river that flows into the ocean, by bathing in a river that does not flow into the ocean, right? So this is not such a holy river, but it's a river, it's flowing water, it's considered pure, but it's not flowing into the ocean, it's directly, so therefore it's not considered totally pure, right? It's not a great holy river. Then by bathing in a river flowing to the ocean, one gets 15 times. So even if the river doesn't flow to the ocean, you get 3 times the benefit of bathing at home, but you get 15 times the benefit of bathing at home if you flow into a big river which flows into the ocean. By bathing in the sea, one receives the benefit of bathing at home for 1 month. So that would be what? 30 times. 30 times the result of bathing at home. A single bath in the river Godavari, right, one of the 7 holy rivers, right, awards the result of bathing for 6 months, right? So that would be 180 times bathing at home, right? And we even remember it was said that just by taking a bath, you're getting rid of all your sinful reactions. So 180 times by bathing 1 time in the Godavari River. Bathing only once in the Ganges awards one the result of bathing for 1 year. So twice as good as the bathing in the Godavari is bathing in the Ganges. And simply by bathing once in the water that has washed the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one obtains the result of bathing for 12 years. So 12 times bathing once in the Ganges, or 24 times bathing in the Godavari, right? Or what to speak of. You can just do the math of these others. So it's getting, this is like a Mahatmyam, which is glorifying bathing in different bodies of water. And it's saying basically bathing in the Charnamrita of the Lord, that is the greatest. That is the greatest. So continuing on for text 304 from the Garuda Purana, it says, O king of birds, those whose bodies are not drenched 3 times a day, 3 times a day, because we take 3 baths a day, with the nectarian water containing a tulsi leaf, that has been used to bathe the Shalagram Shila should be excluded from all kinds of religious performances. So we have a water from the bathing the Shalagram Shila. It has some tulsi leaf in it, and we take bath with that. This is to be used. So it's saying if you haven't taken bath with this type of water 3 times a day, you should actually be excluded from all kinds of religious performances. You're not fit. You're not pure enough to perform any other religious duty if you haven't taken bath 3 times a day with water from the Shalagram Shila, right, with tulsi leaves in it. So this is from Garuda Purana. So text 305 says one should sprinkle the water that has washed the lotus feet of the Lord on his head 3 times while chanting the Mula mantra. Again, the Mula mantra can be Gopal mantra, or it could be Om Namo Narayana, and displaying the Kumbha Mudra. Kumbha Mudra is a Kumbha Mudra. I'm not sure exactly. It could be like a pot. One should then offer oblations to the demigods in the customary manner. Okay, so we're getting to the end of the bath now, right? So at the end of the bath, you're supposed to offer tarpana. So you're going to take water and you're going to offer it through the palm of your hand back into the water, right? And you can do that also after you've put this water on your head, sprinkle this water on your head while chanting the Mula mantra and displaying the Kumbha Mudra. Okay, so here we have, well, I think we're almost at the end of the chapter here, so we'll just try to finish up. Ata, the samanyato devadi tarpana, beginning with the devas. We're going to offer tarpana beginning with the devas. Okay, so it is common for those who follow the Vedic principles to offer oblations to the demigods. So this is the mantras that to be used. Brahmadayo, ye devastan, devan starpayami, bhur devan starpayami, bhua devan starpayami, swa devan starpayami, bhur bhava swa devan starpayami. So we're taking water in our hands and we're saying Brahmadayo, beginning with Brahma, O Devas, right? Here's some tarpana for you. Here's water. I'm offering water to you. Bhu Devan Stapayami, Bhuva Devan Stapayami, Suva Devan Stapayami 3 times. And the 4th time, Bhur Bhava Swa Devan Stapayami. Where it says Swa, right? You say Suvaha if you're a Krishna Yajurvedi. And if you're a Shukla Yajurvedi, you say Swa. Okay. Let me offer oblations to the demigods headed by Brahma. Let me offer oblations to the demigods who reside in Bhuloka. Let me offer oblations to the demigods who reside in Bhuvaloka. Let me offer oblations to the demigods who reside in Swargaloka, Suvaloka. Then it says in text 307, right? One should not use the piece of cloth that he has covered himself with while bathing to wipe his body. So normally when we're bathing, probably we'll be wearing kopana. We'll also be wearing a gamsha or an outer cloth like that. That outer cloth should not be used to clean yourself. You should have another cloth, fresh cloth for drying yourself after you've taken the bath. After drying himself, one should put on a dhoti and chadar and then sit down and perform achmana. There's also a situation, there's some other things to do actually in a ritual bath. You should take the cloth that you were wearing, which is wet, and you have to wring it out. And what you have to do is you have to offer tarpana not only to the devas, but the pitris, the rishis, deva, pitri, and rishis, right? You have to offer to the forefathers, you have to offer to the devas, the devatas, the demigods, and you have to offer to the rishis, right? When you offer also the water from squeezing out the cloth, that is offered to people. That's offered for people who don't have forefathers, or they don't have any descendants, people who died without having any children, to offer them as forefathers, to offer them tarpana. You offered some water from your cloth that you were wearing, squeezing it out. So there's a system for that. It's not mentioned here specifically. Okay. So then text 308, and afterwards you put on a dhoti, you put on a chadar, and you sit down to perform achmana. Now this is this is an example here of somebody performing Achamana even before they put on tilak, right? So normally we should have tilak on when we perform Achamana, but this is an exception because you've just taken a bath, your tilak's washed off, so you can sit down and say Achamana because you're going to put on tilak. So, continuing on, text 308 says, while seated after bathing, a Vaishnava should mark his forehead and body with tilak, and then again perform Achamana. So put on tilak and then perform Achamana again. Thereafter, he should perform his Vedic Sandhya, followed by his Tantric Sandhya rituals. So the Vedic Sandhya rituals are for the Gayatri Mantra. If one's initiated into the Gayatri Mantra, if he's had the Upanayam Samskar, he does that. And then afterwards, the Tantric Sandhya is done by everybody. All Vaishnavas will chant the mantras that they receive from the Guru in the initiation given in Vilasa number 2. So I think we can just leave it here. But we can pick it up. Let me see if this, how much more is there.
So the procedure would be bath, Achaman, tilak, Achaman.
Yeah. But the first Achaman is an exception because you're not supposed to say Achaman without tilak.
Oh, okay.
So that's a rule. But so just like you're not supposed to say Achaman standing, these are minor rules. So there's sometimes some exceptions. So here we have.
But then we should do Shrotra Achamani, otherwise we cannot say these mantras in dative case, isn't it? Before putting tilak, because we are putting tilak with mantras.
Yeah, so you're saying when it says Achaman here, we should think that it's Shrotra Achaman. We can look in the commentary and see if it says to do Shrotra Achaman, but I think it actually means to do Achaman. So we're going to have to say those holy names. Did we come across a rule? I don't think we came across a rule necessarily that you can't say the name of the Lord in the dative case. Do we have some rule somewhere where it says you can't say the dative case unless you're completely pure and wearing tilak? I don't know. I think it's just an exception here. It's an exception that you just wash your body and then you sit down and put on fresh clothes and then do Achamana and then put on tilak and then perform Achamana again. So I'm not sure if it specifically said to perform Achamana in a different way. So I can look maybe in some other texts and see what they have to say about it.
You mentioned that we shouldn't do Achamana without tilak. Is there a rule for that?
Yeah, I think there is. I think when we were discussing Achaman before, I think it's mentioned, or either that it's mentioned. I don't think we discussed the actual Achaman yet, have we, or not? Maybe we have.
No. Not.
Okay, so then when we come to the section about Achaman, it'll probably say that. I'm not sure. Can't remember where it comes right offhand, but I think it's probably in the Achaman section. It says that. So you wouldn't know that if you just read the book through now. When you come to this point, you wouldn't, if you don't know the full Achaman, then again, in this part, it's saying to do Achaman, but it hasn't actually told you how to do Achaman yet. So we'll come across it again. If you want me to find it, we can find it. But I'm thinking it might be a good idea to leave it here. It's probably getting quite late for you.
Yeah.
So Raghunath, you got any other questions or comments on that? We basically did the bath.
No, it's really nice.
Now I have a procedure somewhere which is much more complicated than this. And there's a couple of other books that we can explain if you really want to know about a ritual bath. Normally, every day we're not doing a ritual bath. We're just going to the bathroom when we're getting clean from a shower. You know, we could add some ritual to it by invoking holy rivers or something we could do. But normally we're not in a position to do it. But when you go to India, when you go to a holy place, it's always nice to know the exact way that you should treat the holy place when you take bath there.
It'd be nice to see a prayog based on Hari Bhakti Vilas for this. I mean, I know
Well,
it's written here, but
First thing I'll do is I'll post the video I have of this guy taking bath in Melko, an old Sri Vaishnava taking bath, ritual bath. It shows him washing his clothes and doing everything, and then putting on tilak, the whole thing. So it's very instructive. If you watch how he does it, you'll get some tips. For sure, you'll get some tips of how to clean your clothes, how to wash your clothes while taking a bath. You wear the dirty clothes while you're taking the bath. You understand why? Because I'll tell you. Because when you go and take bath, you become clean, and then you come out. You can't then touch your clothes. You can't wash your clothes after you take bath.
yeah.
Because when you come out, if you come out and unless somebody else washes your clothes or does it for you, but if you're washing your own clothes, right, then you have to do it while you're taking bath, because at the end of your taking bath you're clean, and then you can't touch those clothes again, or you have to take another bath. So they wrap the clothes around them and take bath clean the clothes while they're taking bath.
I was a little confused. Maybe I just didn't follow properly. When you sprinkle the Charnamrita on your head,
yeah,
that's during the ritual bath, or can you do that just as part of the puja?
Well, I mean, at the end of puja, you're going to take Charnamrita. But also here it was mentioning when you get up in the morning, you're going to take Charnamrita, sprinkle some water. Yeah, and also here after taking a bath, you should do it too, or before taking a bath or after taking a bath. The thing is, if you're at a river, if you're at a tank, is that Charnamrita going to be available? It's not going to be available. It's not going to be available. Shalagram, you're not going to bring with you a bottle of Charnamrita from your Shalagram down to the river. So you can do it when you go home. When you go back, you can sprinkle some Charnamrita.
Okay, and there was some mention that you should drink the Charnamrita before sprinkling it on your head. Yes. So, okay, because just the way I was.
And you should drink, and you should do that for water that washes your parents' feet or Brahman's feet or the Guru's feet before taking Charnamrita from Vishnu's feet.
Yeah. Okay. Because
if available.
Because what I've always done is during puja, as I'm finishing, bathing the deities, that's when I just sprinkle some on my head. But should I also be drinking some at that time, like as soon as I finish bathing my shalagrams?
Okay. Normally, what we do is we wait until the puja is finished. So in other words, the puja is made up of five or six asanas, right? You have mantrasana, shnanasana, alankarasana, punamantrasana, bhojasana, punamantrasana, and paryankasana. Okay, so the first thing after mantrasana, which is just inviting the Lord, then you're going to worship the Lord by bathing him. So you bathe him. After you bathe him, you offer the alankaram, right? So we don't normally we finish worshiping the Lord before we take the prasadam, which is Charnamrita is the prasadam. Garlands, Nimalya prasadam is the garlands or tulsi that's left over from the day before, the foodstuffs, anything that's offered in the worship, which is prasadam, which comes to us. We can only take those things after the whole puja is finished.
Okay.
So this would be taking prasadam. So that's why normally. Okay, so there's a discussion. So if somebody's doing arti and they're offering different things, they come to they're offering the water, and the water is going to be sprinkled on the crowd during the arti, or somebody else is going to take it and sprinkle it. But is that person going to sprinkle water on his own head while he's still worshiping the deity? Is he going to take time out to do that?
Yeah, no.
he should be fixed on worshiping the Lord. He should be fixed on worshiping the Lord, and the prasadam should go to the other people, like that. But then, if he distributes it, then there's none for him at the end. But there should be some for him at the end. But anyway, normally the archika, the pujari, is going to worship the Lord. At the end of worshiping the Lord, he can take charamrita, he can take on his head, he can take prasadam, he can take tulsi, he can take garlands, he can take sandalwood paste, everything he can take afterwards. But we always, our priority is to serve the Lord. And then when we actually finished serving the Lord, and we finished offering everything to Lord at the end, afterwards after we finished all those things, then we can take any of these things beside the mothers.
Okay. That's
so
good.
So nobody's really going to care if you take a little bit of water after you just bathe the deity, take a little water on your head. Who cares? But if you think about it, the actual procedure should be to wait until you finish worshiping the Lord.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's nice. I've been doing it like that for 18 years, but I can see now, so I'll switch it. I'll change it.
But see, here specifically it says you shouldn't put it on your head before you drink it. You should drink it first and put it on your head.
Yeah,
If you drink it, then what? Then you touch your mouth.
Yeah, then you have to do achmana again.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to. There's a rule against doing achmana after you took charanamrita.
Ah, good point.
So then you have to continue worshiping the deity. So you should probably leave it till later. Leave it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Otherwise, it interferes with the puja. It interferes with the flow of the puja, right?
Yeah.
If you have to take time out to do achmana again and everything like, why? The Lord is waiting. The Lord is waiting. The Lord is waiting for you. What? You dried him already and you put him back, and then you just put some water. It would be worse if you just put some water before you dried him, because he's standing there cold.
Yeah. Which is the way I've been doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, if you're going to do it at all, dry the deity first and then sprinkle some water. So what I do is I dry my shalagams, put them back, and then I have to pour the water from the rest of the Som Sutra. It's got some water there. Pour it into the big container, which is going to contain the charanamrita from the Som Sutra, and then I put the Som Sutra away. Right? Or some people, they keep it aside and they wash it or they clean it in some way, and then I've got that water I've got that water in the pot, but there's other water that has to be mixed into that. If you go to a South Indian temple, when they do the worship and everything, they've got the panchapatras. They've got the Padya Agya Achmaniya, right? Padya Agya Achmaniya Shnaniya and Surodaka, or Sarvata Toyam, right? You've got these 5 waters and you're using them throughout the thing. And when you finish the puja completely, you pour all those things into the pela, which is the Visarjaniya Patra. The Visarjaniya Patra, you can either take the Visarjaniya Patra and offer achman to the people who are watching directly from that, offer them charanamrita from that, or you can pour it separately. Now, some paditis say you can have a Visarjana for each water. So you have these 5 things: Padya Agya Achmaniya Shnaniya Surodaka. Have a Visarjana Patra for each one, because you want to keep the Argya water for later on when you take food. You're going to use the Lord's Argya water to do your parisechana. That's some people do that. It's very, very complex, and I've never seen anybody actually do it, but it is recommended you could do that. So normally people just pour all the waters together and they take achman. They take a charanamrita. But some people keep it separate. They keep something separate. You're going to have to keep separate the water from bathing the guru or worshipping the guru, and the water for worshipping Krishna. You're going to keep that separate. That's for sure. Right? That's described here. But whether you're going to keep all the water from Krishna, the different waters, separate, is another thing. Remember, these patras that you're worshipping the Lord have got different spices and things in them. So when you mix them all together, it's going to be a different taste. or sometimes when the people just put astagandha and tulsi in there, it might taste the same. But if you did it really with all the samagris, all the different ingredients, it would be different. So there is a good argument to be made for having separate archament, separate visarjaniya patras, separate throw-out pots for each substance. It's possible, but we'll come to that. We're not up to that point yet. Tomorrow we'll talk about Vedic and Tantric Sandhya, and we'll continue on. Probably we can finish the third Vilasa. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And you can think of some more questions, and if you want me to look up more about ritual bath, I can. But I'll post the video. It'll be very instructive.